Coming out here, I recognized that Tahoe was really in danger because it was attracting so much attention and the population was rising quite rapidly. And I thought that to begin studying before the changes really began to be noticeable was quite important because the population, lives on shore, and you're not going to see the change unless you get out there in the lake and measure it. And so we began measuring the transparency of Tahoe actually in 1959 and established one of the longest data sets any lake in the world now that contains the density of data that we were able to establish and is now continuing.
My name is Sudeep Chandra. I'm a professor of limnology at the University of Nevada, Reno, and direct the Global Water Center. Some of the work in our laboratory has worked collaboratively with other scientists to try to understand what the impacts are from aquatic invasive species. These are species like invasive plants or fishes or little shrimp that are introduced into Lake Tahoe. And what we try to understand are not only the impacts, but how we might control these invasive species and then which species we can no longer control in the lake. The work that we've done together with other folks is also to prevent species from coming into the lake. And that's perhaps the most important thing we've done to date, policy-wise, is to design and programs with policymakers to keep species from going into the lake.
Lake Tahoe is a model for bringing science to good policy decisions. It was Dr. Sudeep Chandra's early research on the threats of aquatic invasive species that led us at the League to Save Lake Tahoe and our partners to start the first in its nation aquatic watercraft inspection program. The League has partnered with science to make good decisions, so we're best protecting the lake.
This is an incredibly complicated landscape. We have 5 counties, 1 incorporated city, the states of California and Nevada, the federal government, and the private sector. Many people wanted Lake Tahoe to become a national park, but we had too much private land and too much of a disturbed watershed, believe it or not, to make that happen at the turn of the century in the 1900s. Collaboration is in our DNA at Lake Tahoe. We've been practicing it for more than 50 years, but the fight continues. Collaboration is really challenging and we have to work at it every day. It's worth it. When you see this beautiful lake, you want to protect it for the future and to make sure that it's here for future generations.
I've been so lucky to have been able to work with this lake for these many years. Still one of the clearest large lakes in the world, and that science has had and continues to have some real impact on the future of this lake. Certainly a teacher's legacy is the students that are developed in the group, and I've been fortunate in having Tahoe to attract 101 graduate students. And I've got to say too, I learned a lot from a lot of my students. It's a two-way street. I'm really proud of them and so happy that they're continuing the work really on a global scale, and that's my legacy.